when we started the discussion, we started talking about manifest and the unmanifest. Let's come back to the manifest and unmanifest. I described a flower having a life, but we don't see that. We only see the flower. Even within us, there are so many things about us that are unmanifest. We have a soul. Do we see that? That remains unmanifest. We have a life. Do we see that? That's an unmanifest. We don't. We have Jesus who abides in us. Do we see that? No. That's an unmanifest. We live without even the awareness of having him inside of us.
When do you get to the point, sir, when do you get to the point that you just accept?
It happens when you go beyond your mind. You see, now we are discussing all of those things because we are trying to tackle it with our mindfulness.
We're trying to understand something.
With our mindfulness. It happens when you transcend mindfulness.
So like the thing is that when you're dealing with the Holy Spirit, the intellectual level doesn't get to the Holy Spirit.
It doesn't.
But you need to be able to let go of the mind and then experience the Holy Spirit. So like you can experience the Holy Spirit. You cannot understand the Holy Spirit except through experiencing the Holy Spirit. And most people have not experienced the Holy Spirit.
But it's a learned process.
It's not.
No.
It is not. It is a transcended process.
Yeah, right.
It's a transcended process.
But if we live that, aren't we going to be viewed by society as religious freaks?
So what?
Oh, definitely. So what?
So what?
So what? So the thing is, like for instance, when I get compelled,
we can't go out here and start singing on the sidewalks.
Well, actually,
that's what I do.
How do we find peace with that?
Right.
How do we find?
Okay.
What about being people?
Okay, let me explain all of that. Okay, but please, instead of trying to jump into interpreting what I'm saying, just listen to me.
Okay.
Just listen to me.
What about people that hate everybody?
Okay, I'm going to answer that. Okay, because the answer is very simple. Answer is not very complicated. It really happens when you transcend your mind. Let me explain that. See, earlier when I walked in here, you just shared something with me what the scientists are saying, that we can learn new languages when we are sleeping. And I was saying, yes, it is entirely possible because your mind is not active. Your brain is. Your mind is not active. When your mind is sleeping, there are many wonderful things can happen to you. But the minute your mind becomes, active, it kind of runs everything into chaos. Okay? That's really what happens when your mind is active. Okay? It's the same thing here. You see, it is not, when we are awake, we can transcend our mind and get into that sleep stage. And when we get into that sleep stage, miracles do happen. So what actually happens is when we transcend that clouded and chaotic mind and rise above it, we are opening ourselves to a lot of potential. And that potential could even directly involve the Holy Spirit. That's what a transcendent mind does. In order to answer the question about are we going to become religious freak and, is people are going to hate us and that and this and all of that, don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Don't even think about it. Because when you really become enlightened, people will see the vibration in you. And they would love you instead. You see, everybody you look at them, everybody you touch them, everybody you interact with them, you have the power to transform them. Transform them from thinking that, how they think, transform them from even hating us. You see, remember, we don't know what transformation is, we cannot relate to it. Okay, I'm going to give you an example from the life of Jesus. What exactly transformation is. Transformation is immensely powerful. Immensely powerful. You see, there was an incident in the gospel. There is a group of mob men who is bringing an adulterous woman, and according to Mosaic laws, that woman can be stoned to death. So here there is a mob of men with impunity to kill a woman. You probably may not be able to relate to men, who have violent intentions with impunity, how they are like. They are more ferocious than a pack of wild hyenas. Okay? They really are very ferocious, especially if they have the impunity to commit a crime. If you recall what happened on January 6th in Washington, D.C., you see, those were men with impunity. Look at what happens. Jesus was sitting there. He was not even looking at these men. He was writing on the ground. But see the effect of it. Their impunity went away. Their ferocious intentions went away. Everything went away. They went away as transformed men. Was hatred there at that time? It wasn't. That woman who was standing in front of Jesus, she never repented for any of her sins. She never asked for forgiveness. She asked for nothing. All she did was stood in front of Jesus. That's all she did. And she was spared of her life.
So I learned something today. I think I learned that fear is a driving force for why a lot of people
It is not fear
themselves.
It is not fear. It is thoughtlessness.
Thoughtlessness.
It is not fear. If you can think, you are not going to be afraid. If you can think.
We're afraid of how people may view us.
Yeah. How people will treat us, how people would, form opinions about us. All of that, it happens because of thoughtfulness. We are not aware of the Spirit, the transformative power we have within us, which is Jesus himself. Read the phrase in John 15:4. Jesus says emphatically, specifically, he says, I abide in you. See, we are not aware of the transformative power we have within us by way of Jesus. When we come into that awareness of Jesus within us, we can transform anything, anyone, anybody. From complete transformations we can bring about, not only to ourselves, even to the people we interact with.
But that's so difficult to do.
No, it's not.
Most of the time.
No, it's not.
You don't think so?
No, it's not. The only thing we need to do is we need to learn to transcend our mind. The more busy we are with our duality-based mind, of course it's going to be difficult.
Well, it's time-consuming.
It's not even time-consuming. It's easy. Come on. As children, you see, we only knew how to observe. And we learned our first language even before we were able to speak. Was it time-consuming for a child? It was not. As adults, we are, because we know the technicalities of a language, of learning a language. Yeah, ask people who have been going through the Spanish class today and how many years it has been taking them to learn Spanish.
Bored over there, scared to daylight.
Yeah. See, because it's all technicality of learning a language. See, the Spirit within us, the Holy Spirit taught us our first language when we were infants, when we were not even developed enough to speak the language. Okay, was it time-consuming? No, it was not. See, Jesus gave us the prescription. You know what that is? Become a child. What does becoming a child means? Child does not have an intellect, complicated intellect, duality-based mind that complicates everything and runs things into chaos. It's just a mind that observes and observes and observes and absorbs everything like a sponge. That's what the mind of the child is. So Jesus is not asking anything that is complicated. He is asking you to come back to the way you were when you were born. That's all. That is all the requirements. Transcend the mind, okay, and become the child that you are.
Well, at the end of the day, aren't we just all looking for harmony?
See,
Harmony is a word anyway. It's an adjective of some form.
well,
Aren't we all looking for peace or harmony?
exactly. But we are going about in the wrong direction. We think our mindfulness is going to take us there. It's not. We think our thoughts and our mindfulness and how we become so aware and intellectual about it, it's going to take us there. It's not.
Well, we do all these things as required by society or self-imposed or whatever. We get educated, we get a job, we have all these responsibilities and stresses and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden we realize, for what?
Bob, can you understand one thing? I'm going to tell you one thing that is so absurd and ridiculous about ourselves. Here we are talking about transcending mind, but we are being drawn back into our mindfulness. And we think the solution is in our mind. It's not. It's not. It's absolutely not. See, we are again going back into the man-made structure of standardization, simplification, and specialization. And that's where the answer is lying. See, we are not. See, God has already created a system for us in order to kind of get there. And that system is based on the wisdom of the Holy Spirit, not on the man-made systems. And we are so occupied with man-made systems and we think the answer lies there. It's not. It's not.